Welcome to the NHL Ice Guys, Tuesday, December the 12th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. We are ready to rock and roll on this Tuesday edition, joined as always by my fellow line mates, my other Ice Guys, Alex B. Smith, Andrew McInnes, and Dana Lane. Ready to talk about a Tuesday card that is once again busy with a lot of games. It's not my most favorite card by any stretch of the imagination personally, but there's some interesting matchups, no question. Couple good ones. Tampa Bay, St. Louis, to me, probably the game of the night. That'll be a fun one to watch. The Lightning and the Blues, one of the better games on the slate. We'll, of course, be talking about that and looking forward to it, no question. So let's begin. Start right at the top of the card, as we always do. LA, New Jersey, right at the top of the Tuesday board. That's rotation 1 and 2. We've got LA, about a -120 road favorite in this game. The total of 5.5, shaded pretty heavily to the under, actually, -135 with the total in this game. The LA Kings, of course, have been on a remarkable run. This team, they had that great success. What was it, about a couple of weeks ago on the road trip that they had taken, and they, just a fantastic showing on that trip for the LA Kings, scoring goals, playing better defensively. The goaltending, of course, Jonathan Quick, not only injury-free so far this season, but looks like he's found his confidence again. He's got his rhythm once again in between the pipes for the LA Kings, and it's been terrific 8-game win streak for this hockey team. I mean, they beat Washington, St. Louis, and Chicago in successive games on their last road trip. And then we were all concerned. You come back home off that 4-game road trip. You've been traveling for a bit. Do you get complacent? Do things start to come off the rails a bit? No. I mean, they've avoided any sort of flat spot, and they've continued to find ways to win games. The last 2 games have not been pretty. In fact, you could argue they've hung on a little bit. The other team has taken the play to them and the territorial edge to them, Ottawa, Carolina, but doesn't matter in the end when you're still winning hockey games, and they still found a way to win despite not playing their A game. That's a positive sign for John Stevens' team. There's no question about that. Notching that 4-3 overtime win against Ottawa and the 3-2 overtime win against Carolina. So now they're back on the road facing this New Jersey Devils team. They're going through this, Metro New York, New Jersey, tri-state swing, I guess you could say right now. New Jersey, the Rangers, and the Islanders, the next 3 road games for the Kings, starting tonight in New Jersey. New Jersey's sort of fallen on hard times a little bit. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Losing to Arizona on the road, losing to Columbus at home, and then losing to the Rangers 5-2 last time out, and also dealing with some key injuries up front. Cal Palmieri out, Marcus Johansson didn't play the last game due to an ankle injury. His status is unknown for tonight, so you got some issues for New Jersey. They've cooled off a little bit at the offensive end of the ice, and in terms of defense and goaltending specifically, you'd like to see it be a little bit better from this Devils team. They've given up exactly 5 goals in 3 of their last 4 games. Not surprisingly, all of those games losses for the Devils. So we'll see if they're able to get things righted a little bit defensively. -120, personally to me, with how good the Kings have been, starting a road trip here is a playable price for me with LA at this point in time. In fact, I will be on the LA Kings side here, about -120. I know there's some money coming in right now on the New Jersey Devils. It came down from the opener of about -140, but gives us a little more value with this LA Kings team. And at least the last time we saw them on the road, they proved they could finally win games on the road, which was a bugaboo for them a bit last year. Not so much this year. I think right now they're in good form, an 8-game win streak. Those teams on streaks, I say it time and time again, not looking to step in their way, only looking to back them. And I think I will back the LA Kings here at -120 on the road. Dana Lane is involved here with the Kings Devils game tonight. Dana, good morning. What are you looking at here in New Jersey?
Hey, good morning, guys. You can hear me okay? We're good?
Beautiful.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Okay, so, here's another case of you need to shop a little bit. I mean, the Kings line, and I'm talking about on the total, the Kings line open, looking at it -$1.35. We have $1.30 right now at 5 dimes. We have -$1.40 in bet online. So obviously those are the type of situations that you want to take advantage of, because by the end of the year, believe me, if you're shopping, especially sports that have to do with money lines, by the end of the year, your bankroll will be much larger because you shopped rather than just being lazy and taking whatever line that your book gave you. Now, on to tonight's game. Certainly, around here, we certainly would like to see the LA Kings lose a few games. They're not doing that. 8-game winning streak, a plus 29 goal differential, which is second in the National Hockey League right now. They have allowed during this 8-game streak just 13 goals. And in fact, since November 9th in a 5-2 loss to Tampa Bay, the Kings are 9-5-1, and that includes a lengthy losing streak as well. But their goals against average is just 1.93, and that is not over 2 or 3 games. That's over a 15-game stretch. That to me is a trend. Drew Doughty said it the other day, and after practice, he says we're a good defensive team. Defense wins titles, and that's what our identity is going to be. So that tells me a lot of where their mindset is, and certainly it appears that they want to play a solid defense every night. New Jersey has just 9 goals in the last 4 games, so my play on this is going to be LA, New Jersey under 5.5. Try to catch that $1.30.
There you go, Kings Devils under 5.5. I love these games when you get a side and a total in the same game. That's great. Gives us a chance, hopefully, to cash in twice on the same game tonight. We'll attempt to do that. Kings and Devils tonight. I'm on the Kings. Dana on the under. Toronto, Philadelphia, 3-4. Nothing on the rotation here in this hockey game. It's going to be an interesting one to see how it goes here between these two teams. I know Toronto's likely going to be without Austin Matthews for another game, and I'm telling you what, they're off. Their generation of shots, chances, territorial play the last few games, it's not been great. And it was certainly not great against Edmonton. The only reason they won that game is because Curtis McElhinney did an Irish jig all over the Edmonton forwards in that hockey game. Shut him down, shut him out. 1-0 and about, 40 shots on goal in that hockey game for the Oilers. And that tells you all you need to know about their struggles. They put up 40 shots. They still can't win a game. They get blanked by the Leafs on Sunday night. Leafs, tough, grueling weekend for them, really, when you look at it. I mean, they had 2 tough back-to-backs against Pittsburgh and Edmonton, and found a way to get out of there with 4 out of 4 points. You give them credit for that. Even though it wasn't pretty, the performances for 60 minutes in either game found a way to overcome it and get the victory. Austin Matthews currently questionable for tonight. We'll see if he's in there. Philadelphia, on the other hand, starting to turn it around a little bit. We knew how bad that losing streak was. What did it reach? 10 games? That recent Flyer losing streak? Well, 3 straight wins after that against Calgary and Edmonton on the road, and then against Vancouver on the road as well. A nice 3-0 sweep of Western Canada. Good to see from the Flyers. Much needed. They needed a little shot of confidence again. They were able to pick up some confidence from that road trip, and now you're back home. A little bit of a tricky spot. Good news is, though, that Vancouver game was last Thursday, so they have had, quite a 1, 2, 3, 4 days off between games here, so that's pretty good. Alleviates some of the problem of it being their first game home off that road trip spot. Usually that's a detrimental bet against spot. At least the fact that they've been off, I think, since Thursday helps them out a little bit in this kind of scenario. So we'll see if they're able to keep the win streak going here against this Toronto team. No price on this game. It's probably not a game I'm going to be involved with from a betting perspective. We'll see how it ends up playing out. But, Toronto, obviously, you've got to be concerned. Even though the wins are still there for them in recent games, it's not been a pretty performance from them by any stretch. They still got another gear that they're going to have to play at if they're going to be one of these let's battle Tampas and Pittsburghs and teams like that in the Eastern Conference. A lot of nights lately they've gotten bailed out by the brilliance and mastery of Freddie Anderson in between the pipes. So you'd like to see Toronto sort of step it up one more gear. And I think they're going to have to if they're going to be a big-time player in the Eastern Conference race come springtime, come April. We've got Ottawa, Buffalo, 5-6 on the rotation. We've got an even money price here. That's exactly where it should be. These are 2 teams that can't get out of their own way. They're tripping on their own 2 feet right now, both of them. It's pretty disgraceful to see how both of them are going right now. The total, 5.5, heavily, and I mean heavily. If you like the under in this game, it's heavily shaded to the under now. Minus 145, even a minus 150 out there. There is a minus 140 at the Greek. A little bit less juice. Again, SBRodds.com, as Dana alluded to in the LA breakdown against New Jersey. There's no reason you shouldn't get the best line, the best number, the best price possible in any sport, especially when you've got SBRodds.com. It's the premier free live odds service out there. There's no one better. In terms of free, in terms of not having to pay a Don Best or Sports Options, it doesn't get any better than SBRodds.com. So make sure you're visiting that site daily, getting the best number possible. This is a complete pick your poison game for me here. I mean, you got Ottawa absolutely reeling, can't put a puck in the ocean. The Buffalo Sabres are awful right now. What else can you say? Actually put up a good fight against St. Louis the other night and still find a way to lose. That's par for the course for them. Even on the nights they do give an effort, even on the nights they are in the hockey game, still can't find a way to win. The offense has been a bitter disappointment. See Jack Eichel get caught defensively in that overtime winner by Vladimir Tarasenko. It's sort of affecting his game away from the puck as well. He's getting frustrated, smacking his stick on the net after that overtime goal by St. Louis the other night. Frustration is really rearing its ugly head right now with this Buffalo team, and I'm sure it is with Ottawa because they're not playing much better. So I'm staying far away from this game from a side perspective. No value I see on either side. But Alex B. Smith does see some value on this hockey game tonight between the Sabres and Senators. It's the NHL's version of the toilet bowl. We got bowl season coming up in college football. This is the toilet bowl right now. Buffalo and Ottawa, neither team putting up W's much these days. Alex B. Smith, good morning to you. What are you looking at here in Buffalo tonight?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, this is going to be an absolutely horrible game to watch. And the way I'm looking at this game, it would have to be the under. I jumped on it early in the overnight last night, and now you've seen a bunch of money come in. Like I said, it opened around $1.25 of that under 5.5. Now you see 140, 145. I wouldn't be shocked if we actually see a 5 pop up at this spot, and then might be able to get some plus value. But like I said, both these teams haven't been scoring worth a damn. I mean, Ottawa's been shut out 3 of the last 4 games. They've lost 11 of their last 12. Buffalo has lost 13 of their last 16. And the game that really pointed out to me with Buffalo was the game when they played in Chicago the other night. They had a 1-0 lead late in the third. They were playing really tight defense, and then the defense broke down in front of Robin Lehner. They lose in overtime. And he skated off the ice. He was just completely pissed. He looked like he wanted to take half his teammates out as he was skating to the bench when that game ended. So he's given some solid efforts, but his losing record keeps building and building because the team in front of him is just not playing that well. So I think we're going to start, at some point that we're not going to get too many good efforts from him because he's going to, just start breaking down with the rest of his team. But I think we're still going to see some life from him. If I had to pick a side here, I would go with Buffalo at home. But I think the under, even at minus $1.40, there's still some value there. I don't see where we're going to see, more than 3 goals total in this game.
Yeah, it's 2 teams struggling to find the back of the net without a doubt right now. So under 5.5, very pricey, but under 5.5 is the way Alex B. Smith is going here in this game. And Dana Lane's also got to play here on the Senators-Sabres matchup. Not the prettiest game, but hey, that's why we love the show like this. Doesn't matter who's playing. We got a betting stance on the game. That's all that matters. Dana, what are you looking at?
Well, obviously the premier game of the season faces off tonight in Buffalo. Look, the Senators need to. I forgot what camera I'm even looking at. I'm looking at my phone now. The Senators obviously need to get more out of their top line. Brassard and Smith and Stone. They got 1 goal in their last 5 games. That's certainly not going to cut it as your top line. A matter of fact, I don't think Brassard scored in 20 games, something 19 or 20 games. Buffalo just might be the team that they need, though. You look at Buffalo's top line. Eichel, Kane, and Palmaville. They're playing well, but they have absolutely zero behind them. And you talk about this frustration. I mean, Robin Lehner is. I'm telling you, he's certainly a character. Jack Eichel is certainly feeling the pressure because now he's on my fantasy team. That just adds to his daily pressure, I'm sure. But the fact of the matter is, I think they're going to blow it up in Buffalo. I really do. I think there has been rumors of Kane being let go for years now, at least 2 years. I mean, this is a guy that's a 25-30 goal guy. He's kept his if he stays healthy. This is a guy that has kept his nose clean for a couple years now, and every day that goes by that he does that is another day that he's more attractive to another team. But I just think that Buffalo, it's always been an internal thing for me, and I've always thought, we talk a lot about the psychology of wagering, and I just think that that's a bad locker room, and I think that's been a bad locker room for a very long time. On the flip side of that, you have Mike Condon getting a start for the Ottawa Senators. And if I'm Mike Condon and I'm looking at the gap between myself and Anderson, it's getting bigger every single day. So this might be exactly what Mike Condon needs to close that gap up a little bit. This is a last-ditch effort for him, I think, to really keep some sort of a grip on getting more minutes than probably he'll get if he loses this game. Condon's got 2 wins this season. His goals against is absolutely horrible. So I think this is a opportunity for Ottawa. I think this is a bad locker room for Buffalo. And I think if Ottawa doesn't step up and beat Buffalo tonight, I think that I don't want to say they're done for the season before the All-Star break for sure. I don't want to go crazy on that. But I'm telling you, these are one of those games. These are cornerstone games to your season that if you are a bad team and you are looking for something good to happen, you need to win these games. So I'm taking Ottawa tonight, minus $1.05, $1.06, wherever you get it. They have to win this game tonight.
There you go, Ottawa. A must-win, says Dana, and a will-win, says Dana, for the Ottawa Senators tonight on the road against the Buffalo Sabres. And Buffalo, yeah. I mean, it's a get-well game. You would think that. I mean, you got some issues, unfortunately, at this point in time when you've got, if you're the Buffalo Sabres, you've got Hudson Fasching on a top 6 forward role. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about where things stand with the Buffalo Sabres right now. 2 goals and 3 assists. That's on your top 6. Unbelievable. But that's that's what you're looking at right now with the Buffalo Sabres offensively. That's where the big disappointment has been. I knew this team was not going to be a tremendous shutdown, lockdown version of the 90s Devils on defense this year. Obviously, I knew that they had some holes there, no question. I knew the goaltending with Leonard and Johnson still a little but I thought they'd be at least able to score goals. That has not happened at any rate that I expected it to for the Buffalo Sabres this year, and that's been a big issue. And then you start looking at this forward group, and you start to realize why. I mean, you got Evan Rodriguez carrying the offense the other night. I mean, that's not good at all whatsoever. Even though he's a solid player, don't get me wrong, but that's certainly been an issue for him. Just not a very depth-laid forward group. That's been their issue. A big part of the reason why they've had trouble scoring goals. For a game that's not exactly appealing to the eye and to watch, everybody's involved in this game tonight. Ottawa, Buffalo. Andrew McGinnis is involved in this game as well. Tonight, the Senators taking on the Sabres. Andrew, good morning to you. You're also involved in this tremendous masterpiece, classic hockey game tonight. What are you looking at?
Yeah, good morning, guys. And I have to say, I love the passion from Dana about this game. I mean, we have to love it as people that are trying to break down every game and find something from a betting perspective. We do see some value in this game. And I will say, just to start things off, even though sometimes you will see a price a little bit higher than you'd like to, especially you can look at the overnight line. This under is definitely appealing to me. You look at these two teams right now, they're both averaging around 30 shots per game. They're able to get shots at the net. They're just not able to do anything with it. They're just these flutter pucks right into the chest protector of the goalie. They're never making any dangerous plays. Both these two teams' power plays are looking absolutely awful right now. It's literally just passing the puck around for a minute and 45 seconds and maybe getting 1 or 2 shots out of it. It's completely unacceptable. But I'm actually more leaning towards the Senators in this game. I am on the under, but I just think the same thing Dana said, I think this game is so important because it's almost 2 horrible teams. But one of the teams, the Senators, actually has a chance to do something with their year this year. We know the Buffalo Sabres aren't going to do anything this year. I mean, I'm feeling bad for Robin Leonard every single night. The way that last goal went in for him off the defenseman screening him it's absolutely unacceptable. It's not fair to him. And I think this low-scoring type style game that I'm predicting is going to work in the favor of this Ottawa Senators team. I'm predicting around a 2-1, 3-1 style game here for this Ottawa Senators team. I mean, let's look at it right here. The Buffalo Sabres are averaging 2.13 goals per game. That's just absolutely atrocious. And the under is hitting like it's nothing right now for them. And you look at these teams; they're struggling to produce. But I think at some point it has to click. And for Mike Condon getting the start tonight, this is a huge start for him. When you've got a goaltender situation right now where your team is struggling, someone has to step up. When you're playing the Buffalo Sabres, the toilet bowl game, like you mentioned, Ian, this has to be a big game for you. I mean, you're not waking up to play the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, but you're waking up to play a team that you have a decent chance of winning. So this has to be circled on your calendar right now. This has to be a big win that you should be able to grab. And for us to be getting the price that we're getting with the Ottawa Senators, I say why not? I say this price is way too good for us right now to back the Buffalo Sabres. So the under is my lean, but my official play with this is going to be the Senators money line. This is a big spot for them. Mentally, they have to be feeling good coming into this. This is a big win to kind of turn them around right now. No matter who you're playing, a win is a win, and they need this badly.
Yeah, we'll see if they get it. Ottawa is Andrew's official play, a lean to the under as well in that game. Andrew G in the chat saying Leonard should just accept that he's a career AHL goalie. Well, sometimes he does play that way, and sometimes he does play like he is an NHL #1 goalie, but you don't get that consistency. He's got a very short fuse as well. Like, he has been a powder keg that has blown up multiple occasions when things have gone wrong for the Buffalo Sabres, in the dressing room, in an interview. And that's also something I think that's been a little bit detrimental to him as well. It's just that he's got a little bit of a temper. He doesn't really deal with things well when things go badly. That's also been a Robin Leonard problem. He's not as strong mentally. You see something bad happen to Carey Price or something bad happen to Frederik Andersen, those two goalies, it doesn't even look like something bad's happening. They're just, oh, well, the same old demeanor, stone face, and just calm as can be. Just move on to the next game, move on to the next shot. That's why they're elite goalies. That's why Robin Leonard's not an elite goalie. He's got to have that better mindset, and his headspace has to get a hell of a lot better than it is right now. And it's something that he hasn't fixed it yet. I don't know if he will. Colorado, Washington, 7-8 on the rotation. No line on this game. How about the Colorado Avalanche behind John frickin' Bernier last night, stealing the show and honestly stealing the game, quite frankly, against the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. 2-1 victory for the Avalanche in that hockey game. Riding one of the better performances I've seen in a year, maybe more than that, from Jonathan Bernier. He was fantastic in that game. 40-plus shots for Pittsburgh, but only one goal, and it was a goal with like 10 seconds left when it was already out of reach that got by Bernier and broke the shutout bid, but a great performance from him. Now on a back-to-back situation here, the Avalanche in a tough spot, though, here. You're playing a Washington team, lost last night to the New York. Apparently, you can't win as a road team anymore in New York against the Islanders. I mean, it's unbelievable, this team at home, the Islanders, and they did it again last night. 3-1 victory against the Washington Capitals. Can anyone beat the Islanders in Barclays anymore? Come on. Someone's got to do it. I mean, but their home record's been absolutely amazing. And Washington was playing good hockey going into last night, and the Islanders still get the job done against that Washington team. So you got Washington off a loss, Colorado off that huge effort type of win. Yet Jared Bednar going with Semyon Varlamov tonight, even though Bernier was red hot last night, stole the game, not riding the momentum. He's still, back-to-back situation. I'm going back to my #1 guy, Semyon Varlamov tonight in net against the Washington Capitals. Holtby got pulled last night against the Islanders, and I think this was originally going to be a Grubauer start for the Capitals, but I'm starting to think it might be Holtby back in net tonight after he got pulled early last night against the Islanders. I would be a little bit surprised if it's not Holtby back in net for them tonight against Colorado. Obviously, I'd lean a little bit to the Capitals here. It's a negative spot for Colorado. Washington back home off a loss is a good profile, but you're obviously going to have to pay a price, and it's probably not a price I'm going to be willing to pay for this Caps game. Andrew McGinnis wants to talk about Washington, Colorado tonight here on the card, even though there's no line yet. Andrew, what would you be looking at here, side or total?
I'm looking at the total in this one, guys, and I understand there are no lines out and we don't have any odds to really speak of. But for me, looking at these two back-to-back spots, I mean, I love talking about back-to-back spots, specifically with the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals, after a loss especially, and Colorado's going to be coming in with a little bit of a high right now. They're going to be feeling good about themselves after that good win. Bernier, of course, getting a win for his team, always good for the backup to get a quality win. But for me, looking at this game, I think that Colorado has kind of made a somewhat identity for themselves in the past little while so far as being an over team. And they've proven they can put the puck in the back of the net, and they can do it with some consistency. So it's good to see that they're stepping up, and they're actually being able to run some lines, and their power play is looking pretty impressive as well. But let's not count out this Washington Capitals team and forget what they can do. Both these two teams averaging a little over 3 goals per game, around 32, 35 shots a game between two of them. And they're just a team. These are two teams that you expect to come out here on these back-to-back nights and not play a flat game whatsoever. I think the Washington Capitals will come out angry after that loss last night against the Islanders. And this is going to be a spot where I really like the over. I think early and often as well. I think that over in the first period could happen between these two teams. Looking at a couple stats here for Colorado, the total has gone over in 8 of Colorado's last 9 games on the road. Total has gone over in 4 of Colorado's last 5 games when playing in Washington. So, a couple things like that are key to mention, just to show that Colorado has meant business. They have been able to put the puck in the back of the net. They are producing so far this year. And again, I'm way more excited about this play because Washington is coming off a loss. I love this team off a loss. They're a team that doesn't consistently put up low numbers. And I think this will be a night where they really spark. And you know what? Colorado had a decent defensive game last night, but I think this back-to-back spot will hurt them. And it'll be a negative thing for them. And it'll be kind of a sloppy start for them. So I don't really take it too many of them, guys, but I do like the first period over as well. I think these two teams will come out flying, and there'll be some goals in this game.
Yeah, Cam, just going back and looking, I do see the Capitals 3-1 to the over their last 4 games off a loss. So kind of speaks to that. When they're off a loss, they try to amp it up a little bit at the offensive end of the ice, and probably they'll be looking to do that tonight. You got to wonder, this Colorado team that, you could say they played great defensively last night. Did they really? They still gave up, a boatload of shots, boatload of power play opportunities. Goalie sort of bailed them out. So they could be feeling that a little bit tonight on the back end. So, yeah, in theory, over makes some sense. Again, 3 of the last 4 Washington games off a Capital loss have gone over the total, and Andrew will be looking to ride that little mini trend tonight in that game with over the total. Edmonton-Columbus next game, 9-10 on the rotation. Columbus -165 to -170. Hefty home favorite here. Total 5.5 shade to the under. And we know Todd McLellan blew up in practice last Thursday. It was the publicized video, losing it on his team. Some teams I loved what he said. Some teams are getting better today, this morning at practice. Are we? That was basically his quote that night, that morning, Thursday. And since that blow up there in practice, that Thursday morning was after that brutal loss at home to the Flyers. It was a terrible loss. They were awful in that hockey game. Since then, they pummeled Montreal on Saturday night, and they absolutely should have beat Toronto Sunday. I mean, they were the better hockey team over Toronto in that game. Sunday, 1-0 shutout loss. Again, McElhinney stole the day, stole the show for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But 2 solid performances where Edmonton was aggressive. They were on the front foot. They took the play to the opponent. That's 2 games in a row they've done that since that little tirade by Todd McLellan in practice last Thursday. So it's got me thinking that maybe I'd take a shot with Edmonton tonight. So the problem is Columbus is very good at home. We know 19-10, 11-5. It's not, at home so far this season. It's not easy to make a case to fade Columbus, especially nationwide. I understand that, but Edmonton should have been rewarded with the win against Toronto. Did get rewarded with the win against Montreal the last 2 games, so they have at least responded in kind to the coach losing it on them in practice. Sometimes you worry, does the players react negatively in terms of their performance after something like that? Or do they react positively, and do we see a step up in their performance? And we've seen a step up in their performance. Look, Toronto and Montreal collectively, Oilers outshot them 81-47. That's pretty good. I mean, you're firing pucks at that. Now you just need some of them to start going in more. That's the only thing you're waiting for with this Edmonton Oilers team. We'll see, can Laurent Brossoit continue to hold up a little bit? He has been a little bit better the last 2 games when you consider he's given up 3 goals in his last 2 starts combined against Montreal and Toronto. He's at least stepped it up a little bit in net for the Oilers. Can he keep it going? That remains to be seen. I'm leaning 11, dig some more into this game. It's certainly nowhere near best bet status for me, but I'm going to lean a little to the Oilers. Sometimes you got to take a shot with some of these big dogs. Sometimes if you feel the situation is good. And again, we've seen the Oilers play some of their better efforts of the season in their last 2 games against the Habs and the Leafs. So it makes me want at least consider taking a shot with them tonight as a big underdog against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Look, Columbus, we know how good they've been. They're 2 straight wins. They lost 2 in a row, and then they've bounced back with 2 straight wins, but against New Jersey and Arizona. Not exactly great shakes by any stretch. Before that, they beat Anaheim, Carolina. So, their schedule's not been loaded with hefty and tough opponents lately, Columbus, either. So, I think Edmonton's got a shot to do what they did against Toronto and Montreal. Let's hang in there and hang right in the game, if not win it. So, I'll lean a little Edmonton here tonight, plus 150 is probably the best number you can get. Looks that way. Yeah, plus 150 with Edmonton tonight on the road against Columbus. I'm willing to take a stab on the Oil after two much better performances where they were the superior team in terms of dictating the play, dictating the terms in their last two games against Toronto and Montreal. We've got Calgary taking on Minnesota next game, 11-12. We've got Minnesota minus 135, home favorite. The total 5.5, shaded to the under here in this game. Minnesota, give them credit. It was a pretty solid road trip for this hockey team just recently. Really well done by them. But again, here we go. A little bit of a tricky spot, a little bit of a tough spot. Home off that road trip, laying that price at home. And I'm always weary laying that price at home with Minnesota. This is not a terrible price. This is not the minus 170 or 60 or 80 that we sometimes see Minnesota laying at home, but it's, minus 130, minus 135 at home for this Minnesota team, in a little bit of a tricky situation here, coming off that 3-game California swing where they won the last 2 games of that road trip, both of them in overtime against San Jose and Anaheim to wrap it up. Starting to score goals a little bit more. That's certainly a positive for them, but now you're back home against a Calgary team that has played better for the most part on the road this year. Their road record, Calgary, 8-6. Their home record just 8-8. So that tells you that Calgary's been a solid team on the road. It's a situation where Calgary just seems to be, a little bit more comfortable playing on the road. They buy into a little bit better defensive play away from home as well, this Calgary team, and it's worked for them. And Calgary went through a slump, no question. Calgary was not playing good. Other than a 3-0 win against Arizona, they had lost to Toronto, Edmonton, and Philly, all at home, and bad losses. They didn't look good in any of those games. Then they should have beat another team that should have beat Toronto, just like Edmonton the other night. Calgary absolutely should have beat Toronto last week. They lost 2-1 in a shootout, totally dominated the Leafs, but Freddie Anderson did what he's done a lot this year, steal a game. And then they followed that up with 2 very good efforts in a row after that tough shootout loss where they deserved 2 points, didn't get it. They beat Montreal in overtime 3-2, beat Vancouver at home 4-2. So we'll see how they fare here. Weird schedule. They go on the road, go back home, and now they're back on the road again. That's a little concern, but at this point in time, I'm going to lean to the Calgary side nevertheless, because I think they're in a little bit of a superior situation here in this game. We got Dana Lane wanting to talk Wild and Flames here in this game. Dana, what are you looking at?
Well, here we go again, Ian. We love going head to head. I think look, this Wild team they won at 10 out of 15 games. The win against San Jose the other night was extremely impressive, and the reason why I think that is, I actually thought San Jose was in a good spot here. I thought Minnesota traveling across country, there was almost a 60-degree temperature change between St. Paul and Los Angeles, and then 40 between St. Paul and San Jose. They just came off a grueling win against the Anaheim Ducks, and I thought, well, you know what? I think their bellies are going to be a little full going up to San Jose, a team that no longer is the best defensive team in hockey. And lo and behold, they got out of San Jose with a victory, and I think that says a lot about this Wild team. Look, goaltending wise, Devin Dubnyk is. I saw a report yesterday that said that Dubnyk is playing Vezina-like hockey right now, and that kind of piqued my interest because I guess I really wasn't aware of the run that he was on. But even though he's 12-8-2 on the season, he is 8-2-1 in his last 11. He has 3 shutouts. He has 3 other games where he's allowed 2 or less goals. That to me is that to me is fantastic. I was actually unaware that he had such a run on a run like that. They have the Wild's got 6 points, or it has points in 6 straight games at XL Energy Center. Not since early November against Chicago have they failed to get a point at home. I think that they have tremendous consistency at XL, and they have showed that over the last few games. I think they're feeling really good about themselves, and I don't mind putting a little money on a team at home that I think is really at their peak of where they've been mentally all season. So I have no problem laying $1.29, $1.30 on this. I really like Minnesota in this game over Calgary.
All right, Minnesota. That's all right. We go head to head. It's a long season. There's a lot of games we're going to be against each other sometimes. Minnesota for Dana Lane in this game. And as for our good friend in the chat there who's causing a fervor and deciding to be a racist bastard, get the fuck out of here. All right, reach for the stars. Reach for my fist. How about that? Reach for that. Get out of here. Enough of that crap.
Wow, Ian.
All right, so yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. We don't stand that crap in the SBR chat. So it's, on you go. Find better things to do. You're the one actually jumping in here watching us. So who's the jag off, huh? Really? Anyway, on we go. Minnesota Wild for Dana Lane. Alex B. Smith, you're wanting to talk Wild hockey? What a shock! He's in St. Paul. Of course he does. So Alex, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, it's going to be a gigantic shock for the Wild as they come back home. Dana, as you mentioned about the nice weather in California, it is 8 degrees right now in St. Paul here. So, not really fun to come back to that. But with that being said, they had a couple of really good wins. That Wild game with San Jose was really weird, honestly. I mean, I thought the Wild were going to skate away, but they had a 3-0 lead, then they blew it, and then they needed to win in overtime. Niederreiter had a nice goal in the extra frame to get that 4-3 win. So now they come home. Ian, we always talk about fading teams coming home off of a long road trip, and usually the case is, especially if they struggle. But I think the fact that they played 3 really tough games in a row, even though they won 2 of the 3, I think that still makes a difference as far as like I said, they come home, bellies are a little bit full, they're feeling a little confident about themselves, but they're back into familiar digs. I think that's a time where we could also see a bit of a slow start. And that's where I'm looking at Calgary here at this plus price. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Wild. They've won 5 of their last 8, on the road against Western Conference opponents. I think that they'll be able to take advantage. If they can score early, they should be able to kind of keep the pace, slow things down a little bit, and make things a little bit tougher for the Wild. I think whoever scores first in this game will win. And I got a feeling that could be Calgary. They could jump on there early. So I like the Flames. Get it plus $1.15.
What's funny about this game is that Minnesota played LA, and LA was at the end of the first game home off that road trip, and Minnesota didn't take advantage. First game home off that road trip, still won the hockey game. LA beating Minnesota that night. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Minnesota's in that spot. First game home off the long road trip, playing well. Do they have an LA performance in them tonight? Still be able to win, even though there's a little bit of a negative spot for them. We'll see. But we got 2 on Calgary, 1 on Minnesota, which means it's guaranteed win night on the ice, guys, with this Wild Flames game. Someone's going to win. Someone's cashing a ticket here, so we'll see who it is. Tampa, St. Louis, 13-14. We've got St. Louis about -110 to -115, bouncing back and forth in this game. Total 5.5 shade of the over. This Lightning team's on fire right now offensively. There's no denying that. The line changes, we've talked about them ad nauseum on previous shows. They separated Stamkos and Kucherov. Kucherov on the second line, Nemesnikov up to the top line with Stamkos, and since then it's been just a house of fire for the Tampa Bay Lightning offensively. They've been absolutely fantastic in terms of offensive production. 5 goals against San Jose, 6 against the Islanders, put up a bunch against Winnipeg, overtime win the other night, 4-3. It's one of those situations where Tampa Bay, since these line changes, they found their offense again, playing great hockey, and going into this game here against St. Louis. The one concern I have here, though, in this hockey game, Tampa-St. Louis, is the fact that Tampa's done all of this at home, and their road record is still their one kryptonite. Their road record still could be improved a little bit. I mean, they've lost 3 of their last 4 road games for as good as things have been on this homestand that they've had. And the only win, by the way, in that last 4 road games, Buffalo. So that's nothing to get excited about or all that happy about. So that's my one concern with Tampa. They need to play a little bit more better, a little bit more consistently on the road. But that's my problem with backing them tonight. My problem with backing St. Louis tonight is the injuries have mounted on this hockey team. I mean, Petrangelo's missed the last couple of games on the blue line. And Jaden Schwartz, this poor bastard, I mean, he can't stay healthy. He's a great player, but he's just one injury after another for this guy. He's got another one now. He's going to be out indefinitely for the St. Louis Blues. Those are tough holes to fill. It's nice that you can beat a Buffalo Sabres at home without some of those guys. It's going to be a much taller ask trying to do that tonight with some of these key cogs out against the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. So if you have to ask me, it's a tough game. It's 2 good teams. It's 2 teams I'd rather bet on than bet against right now. It's going to be a great game to watch. I know Tampa Bay's been flying over the total lately, 5.5, maybe a lean to the over in this game, but can they take that offense with them on the road against a better defensive club in the St. Louis Blues? That remains to be seen here tonight in this hockey game. So I'm staying away, but it's a great game. It's a fantastic watch tonight, the Lightning and Blues. I'll be tuned in. Looking forward to seeing how this game plays out tonight between the Bolts and Blues. Alex B. Smith, your take on Tampa St. Louis. You're involved. What are you looking at?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Tampa Bay for most of the reasons you just said. It's like I said, St. Louis, the injury bug slowly trying to creep back and bite them a little bit now. With Petrangelo and Schwartz possibly being out, and Tampa Bay team, they've done well on the road, and they've done well against not only the Central Division but just the Western Conference as a whole. They've won 9 of their last 10 against the West, and they've beat some good teams. They beat Chicago when they were playing decent in that stretch. Like I said, this is a game. Both teams know they're playing one of the best teams in the opposite conference. And of course, the fact that it's going to be nationally televised, they're going to be, throwing around potential Stanley Cup preview. They're going to be throwing that around a little bit. So I think both teams will be amped up for it, but I do like Tampa Bay in the spot. I think they just have strictly the better offense. I think they have the better goaltending, and I think they should be able to start off this little stretch with a win here. So at a pick 'em price, I'm going with the Bolts.
All right, Bolts for Alex B. Smith. Looking to see. He believes that they're going to take this great run at home and take it with them on the road tonight here to St. Louis. We'll see if they do. It's a great hockey game. Looking forward to seeing it. Next game up, we've got 2 left. We've got Florida, Chicago, 15-16. No line on this game yet. Back-to-back for Florida. Eked out an overtime win 2-1. Wouldn't you know it? James Reimer actually shuts the door for a change. Who'd have thunk it? But they get that overtime win 2-1 against the Detroit Red Wings. Last night in the Pizza Box, Little Caesars Arena. Now they're on the second night of back-to-back games against Chicago. So we'll see. We'll see where Bob Bugner, the boogeyman, goes with his goaltender tonight. Is he going to put James Reimer in for a second straight game, or is he going to go with a guy that I remember watching him play for Finland in the World Juniors about 8 or 9 years ago, Harry Sateri, one of the better names in hockey. That's a great name, Harry Sateri. Although actually he was called that early, and then the announcers, I believe, were told that his name's actually Sateri. So we'll see. We'll see if he plays tonight for Florida, what they call him, because I know he was Harry Sateri early on. Maybe he said that doesn't sound right. That sounds ridiculous. Call me Sateri instead. So we'll see if he even gets in the net tonight. But from what I've heard, they're going to try to ride James Reimer as much as possible. They don't want to put this kid from Finland in there often. And considering Reimer's finally off a rare good performance last night, I would think you might see James Reimer here in the second night of back-to-backs. I know you will see Corey Crawford for Chicago. No question about that. He's in. He's back from injury, returned recently, and played well. I mean, played the way you expect Corey Crawford to play. I mean, he's been very solid since returning from this injury. Florida, Chicago, I won't be involved most likely. Alex B. Smith, Hawks are your team. What do you expect from them tonight?
Well, if Harry Sateri or Sateri does enter the game, I bet you a 6-pack of beer that Pat Foley will for sure make a Harry Carey reference to Harry Sateri. That's something he does often a lot of times. He's a big Cubs fan. But as far as this game goes, Chicago, yeah, they've won 2 games, but they had to struggle and go into overtime against Buffalo. They had, I'm sorry, against Arizona. They had to struggle and get 3 goals late against Buffalo at home. That's still not a really good sign for me right now. The offense is still struggling. They're still taking a lot of dumb penalties. But like I said, this is a Florida team that you can't really back them anywhere, home or road or otherwise. So it's a game I'm going to be leaning off of as of now. Of course, there's no line, but for those who are into like live wagering and things of that nature, I would probably watch this game, maybe look and see who scores first. Look at how gauge how this first period goes, because the Hawks have just been starting off very slow, very sluggish as of late. Obviously, their emphasis is going to be on defense because they don't want to give up a bunch of goals, and Corey Crawford's been playing a lot better, so they're trying to tighten things up there, but their offense has just been really, really slow as of late. The power play is doing absolutely nothing. So, I wouldn't be shocked here if Florida gets a win, but right now, like I said, the Hawks, there's still really no reason to buy on them at the moment, so I don't know something big has to happen for the tide to change to be able to buy on the Blackhawks right now.
Yeah, I honestly, I personally would be shocked if they get the win tonight, but we'll see. Florida, where they go. Goaltending wise, it's a tough spot. Second night of back-to-back games for them off that overtime win against the Detroit Red Wings last night. So we'll see. But definitely it's a situation where Chicago, this is a part of their schedule. They got to make some hay, get some wins, get on a roll. You got some winnable games coming up, including this one. Time to get on a roll if you're the Hawks. This would be a good time to do it. Let's wrap it up. Carolina, Vegas, the last game, 17-18. Vegas minus 140 to minus 145, home favorite, total 6, slightly shaded to the over in this game. This is best bet for me, this game. So we're going to save this until I will save my analysis of this till best bet time, just for time purposes. But Carolina's just been through the hell and back on this road trip. I mean, their efforts haven't been terrible on this road trip. But the fact is, you've got a team that's been traveling a long time. Look at this schedule since November 26th. How long ago was that? Over 2 weeks ago? There has been a travel and a venue change and a city change for Carolina in every game since that time. They were at home against Nashville, then they were at Columbus, at New York, back home for one game against Florida, back on the road at Vancouver, at San Jose, at LA, at Anaheim. Now you're playing back to back. This is as grueling as it gets for any hockey team from a schedule perspective. That's problems for me. For the Carolina Hurricanes, you got no confidence, none, zero, even though you've played decent hockey on this trip. You've competitive hockey, blew that game against San Jose, found a way to lose against LA, lose 3-2 to Anaheim, fall behind, just can't do quite enough to catch up, even though Gibson made some miraculous saves in the third period of that game to preserve the lead. This is a bad spot for Carolina. I've given it away already, but there you go. Andrew McGinnis, here we go. And let's not overlook the fact we've got Fleury, Marc-Andre Fleury, flower power, maybe back in the net for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. You don't think that's going to psych up that team, that building, T-Mobile Arena tonight? I think not. Could be big news for the Vegas Golden Knights if they have the flower back in net tonight. Andrew McGinnis wants to talk Carolina-Vegas. What are you looking at here tonight in Sin City?
Well, guys, just looking strictly right now at this game versus the Anaheim Ducks last night for the Hurricanes, I thought that they actually had a decent game for themselves. I thought that John Gibson played exceptional. But if you look at this right now, I mean, we have Scott Darling, who's been confirmed to play tonight against the Golden Knights. And you can't really blame the coaching staff for putting him back in there. I mean, the Ducks had 4 shots in the first period, 8 shots in the second period, 11 shots in the third period. The only difference is those were all quality shots. But other than that, they were struggling to even get shots on target. They had possession, but they weren't really able to get shots on target. So Scott Darling did have to get tested in the third period, but it took a while for him to actually break a sweat, it seemed, and to actually have to get really tested. So coming into this game, I think that Scott Darling, it's still a back-to-back for him against this exciting Vegas Golden Knights team who is 11-2 at home. We have Carolina coming into this one 7-5-4. 5-7 away as their record. So for me, it's the icing on the cake. First of all, that Vegas is at home. Second of all, the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury is more than likely to be starting tonight, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And I think from a mental perspective and just breaking it down as a character guy, I can't think of a more character guy right now, honestly. When you watch his interviews and you see him joking around with the guys on the ice, and you see him during the game, I can think of countless times where he's shown us things on nights for the Pittsburgh Penguins when he was out there in the playoffs where you said, is that the same goalie that we're used to? I mean, sometimes he gets in this mode, he locks in, and he's just unbeatable. He's unstoppable. And I think that this game tonight will go under the total. I think the Las Vegas Golden Knights are going to absolutely smoke show the Carolina Hurricanes. There's numerous reasons why I like this team. And, I would probably like this game even if Fleury wasn't starting tonight, guys. With Carolina on that back-to-back spot, Vegas at home. The way Vegas has been looking to me in their last couple of games, look like they're playing with a mission right now. They look like they're playing with purpose. All 4 lines are kind of gelling right now. But look, as far as any type of character guy goes, I'll say it again. Marc-Andre Fleury coming back, it brings some assurance to this team. I've been saying this for a while. When you have an injury, same thing with Carey Price being back for the Habs. When you got an injured goaltender, he's your main guy, he's your starter, he's your number one. He's pretty much the face of this franchise that hasn't played a quarter of the season. Okay, this goalie coming back is going to make the D-core feel better. The forwards are going to be more relaxed up there, and it's going to be just easier for this team. And I don't think there's any pressure on Fleury at all. I think there's just a lot of confidence for him right now. He comes into this game, he knows he's the man. He's the guy that they want between the pipes for them. And this is a game that I'm really liking. Just look right now at the Vegas Golden Knights are averaging 3.55 goals per game. Carolina averaging just 2.76 goals per game. And that's just recently that they've been actually able to put some goals up. So, the only reason why I would say this game could go over would be if Carolina's able to squeak a couple by Fleury. But in my opinion, this game goes under and a complete shellacking is coming from the Vegas Golden Knights.
I don't know about complete shellacking, but I'll take a win for sure. Vegas here in this game, and they've been phenomenal at home. What can you say? I mean, and even on the road, they're getting their act together. Does it get much more impressive in terms of back-to-back road wins than what Vegas had? Dallas and Nashville over the weekend, very impressive. They start to figure it out on the road consistently. Vegas, look out! I mean, my goodness, 19-10, 11-2 at home, fantastic results. And you look at this Carolina team, as I said, they've just been traveling nonstop since November 26th. And on a back-to-back here, and on third road game in 4 nights. And in this kind of scheduling spot with all the frequent flyer miles and air miles you've logged, facing this fast skating on all 4 lines, come after you in waves Vegas team, it's not the team you want to be playing. That's not the matchup you want when you're dog tired and you're sucking dirty pond water at the end of a long road trip. And then you're going to have to go to Buffalo after this. So they actually do have one more road game after this. Brutal spot for Carolina. Yeah. As you can tell, I like Vegas tonight, minus 140 in this game. Best bets coming up. Let's do it. Dana Lane, your best bet for this Tuesday night card.
Best bet for me. I mean, this is LA and New Jersey has always been an under series, and I know that's historical, and I know what happened, 5 years ago has nothing to do with what's going to happen tonight. But if you like that sort of thing, it certainly has been an under series. Look, like I said before, 15 games. Goals against average under 2 for the Kings. That's an absolute trend. And if I'm only counting on one team to give up 2 goals, and I need the other to score 4 goals to put me over, that's not really a situation I want to be in. I don't want to rely on one team to put a game over. So I'm going under the total tonight in LA, New Jersey, minus $1.35 of 5.5.
All right. Kings Devils under 5.5. Dana Lane's best bet for Tuesday. Andrew McGinnis, your best bet.
Yeah, no, I know we're not seeing the odds at too many places right now. I did end up seeing it at Handicapper's Watchdog for the Capitals game, but I'm looking at the over in this one. I just think that the way these two teams are coming into this game, it's one of those things where I'm almost happy. Like I said, the Capitals lost last night. I'm almost happy that they only scored 1 goal last night. I think that them scoring only 1 goal last night is going to just ignite the fire, and they're not going to have 2 back-to-back crappy games. This is just too good of a team to put up this bad of a performance right now, and Colorado's been scoring as well. They're doing a good job finding the back of the net, and I think with that win they had last night, it's almost going to make them feel good as well. But for them on a back-to-back with the young team they have, and they're still trying to figure themselves out, Washington is more of a veteran-run team. They know how to bounce back from spots, and I think this game will go over the total, guys. I understand there are no odds out, but for me, the initial lean and the initial research for this leads to the over.
All right, over the total, Colorado, Washington for Andrew McGinnis. Alex B. Smith, best bet.
Mine's gonna be the game of the night. You got Tampa Bay and St. Louis. Like I said, it's gonna be the Stanley Cup preview of sorts. I'm going with the Bolts. Like I said, at pick 'em price, I think they have the better offensive firepower and the better goaltending. They should be able to get the job done on the road tonight.
All right, very good. At Tampa for Alex B. Smith, and I'm going right back to Sin City, Vegas minus 140. Not only are they playing great hockey, especially killing it at home, but this is a negative, brutal scheduling situational spot for Carolina with a team lacking confidence. Confidence must be waning even more after another tough, close loss last night in Anaheim. Vegas pounces on them. Marc-Andre Fleury, slight concern, maybe a little rust tonight, first start back in a while, but they might play with their hair on fire, Vegas, and just play great defensively in front of them. They may not even let him see a ton of shots tonight. They're going to be that amped up to play hard for him tonight in his first start back. I'm not too concerned about that. Give me Vegas, minus 140, my best bet for Tuesday night. That's going to wrap it up. That's another edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. It's been another great show. We're back on Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern, with another edition of the Ice Guys. Check out sportsbookreview.com every day for live odds, free picks, free articles. Check out the links below this video to all of SBR's social media platforms and give the show a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. For Alex, for Andrew, and for Dana, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Tuesday night card, enjoy the games, and good luck. We'll see you again on Thursday.